On Saturday, the Carolina Hurricanes were able to pick up their fourth straight win against the Los Angeles Kings in a game where they really dominated everything. Find out how the Hurricanes came away with the win in this episode of Locked On Hurricanes.
Your Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, Caniacs. I'm your host, Jared Ellis, and you're listening to Locked On Hurricanes on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Hurricanes your first listen of the day today on this Monday afternoon. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Hurricanes and myself on Twitter at JaredEllis_96. Now, folks, Saturday, the Carolina Hurricanes were able to come away with another really important win because, they dropped 5 straight and were really struggling. They were really seemed to not be able to get anything going at all. They were in their own head and they didn't look like the Carolina Hurricanes that we expected them to look like this season. And thankfully, they have turned things around. They've picked up 4 straight wins, with this final one being against the LA Kings on Saturday. And the Hurricanes, they controlled this game. They got out early within the first 5 minutes of getting on the board and not giving the Kings anything at all. Pyotr Kochetkov was outstanding. He had 31 saves in that game against LA, in a game where the Hurricanes were actually outshot, not by much, but it's still not something you see very often. The Hurricanes, they are third in the NHL in averaging shots a game, and they don't get outshot often. So for the Hurricanes to still come away with the win and Piotr to only allow 2 goals, I think is really, really good. He has been stellar this season, and now he has 8 wins through his first 10 starts, and that is the most in Whalers Hurricanes franchise history. And the Hurricanes, their power play is also steadily improving, which I think is a big reason that their confidence is getting back. And they're starting to look like the Hurricanes that we know and love. And they have, gotten power play goals in 4 of their last 5 games and have scored 6 power play goals on their last 14 chances. And to where they were earlier in the season of not being able to get anything going at all, I think is really, really good. And again, the power play, it's not, the best in the league, of course. But it's currently ranked at 27th in the NHL, but it has improved to 18%. It's going to be slow. It's going to take a while to get back up to a respectable position. And but to see it improve, I mean, you go back to when we were against uh Pittsburgh, or heck, St. Louis, they're at 17.4%. You go back further. I'm just, flipping, back through my notes. This is stuff that, the Hurricanes, we're steadily seeing that improvement, which is great. That's what we want to see. And I think, as time goes on, it's just going to get better and better. Hopefully, I definitely feel that there's going to be some dips and uh, in that, but the Hurricanes' power play is improving, which I think is a big reason of why they're starting to look like themselves again. Now, I do think it was not a perfect game against LA. They had for what seemed like could have been a second shutout for Piotr, but it feels like they took their foot off the gas a bit in the third and allowed LA to get on the board and make it somewhat of a game. Final score being 4-2. But I think that the Hurricanes, that's what they need to do to win games. They need to control the games early. I said, back at the beginning of the season, you guys remember that, they can't play from behind all the time. You're not going to win games like that. I mean, you're going to win games, playing from behind, but, it's not sustainable. And they needed games like this where, yeah, this was the Hurricanes game. It's not the one where they're getting pushed around and, having to scratch and claw and be in LA's spot. You remember against St. Louis the other night, being down 2-0 and then coming back, scoring 3 in a little over a minute, Martinook getting a hat trick and what that's not stuff that's gonna happen all the time, and they need games like this, right? Yeah, that was the Hurricanes game right there. And the Hurricanes, they're showing that they're getting out of that funk that they were uh in November, early December. I mean, it's still early December, but you know, uh, they're getting out of that funk, and I'm glad that they dealt with that early in the season rather than in March. And one thing with this game against LA was Teuvo Teravainen being back. Yeah, he was obviously he traveled with the team, of course, but him being out for an extended period of time, I think that getting him back is really going to help the offense, especially when he gets his footing back. Uh, I think that his playmaking ability it's gonna really shine through, and things are gonna look much better. And we'll see how things go when Freddie Anderson comes back, when Andre Kasha comes back, when Max Pacioretty finally comes in. It's going to be very interesting to see how these things shake out because they haven't been fully healthy all year. You think about it. Pacioretty still never hasn't suited up for the Hurricanes. Kasha's been out since the very beginning. He played the home opener, and that was it. Freddie Anderson's been out for a little bit now too, so they're getting some rhythm going, and I think that's going to be really big. Heading into Anaheim tomorrow, but ultimately, it's going to be interesting to see how things shake out whenever guys start coming back. Teuvo was the only guy that traveled with the team, so the other guys don't expect them to come back against Anaheim tomorrow, New York Islanders later in the week. Don't expect any of that, but it's gonna be interesting to see how that shakes out. But right now, let's focus on the now. And the Hurricanes got things going good right now. And we did get hear from Rod Brind'Amour after the game against LA, and we will hear what Rod had to say right after this. Thought about securing your home with home security, but have been putting it off? You'll want to listen up. Right now, Locked On Hurricanes listeners can order the #1 rated SimpliSafe home security system for 50% off. This is their biggest offer of the year, and you won't want to miss it. So, SimpliSafe was named the best home security system of 2022 by US News and World Report for a third year in a row. In an emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology exclusively from SimpliSafe to capture critical evidence and verify that the threat is real, so you get priority police response. SimpliSafe is whole home security with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, HD security cameras for inside and out, smarter ways to detect motion and alert you only when the threat is real, and even hazard sensors that detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. 24/7 professional monitoring service costs less than $1 a day, less than half the price of ADT's traditional professionally installed system. With the top rated SimpliSafe app, stay in complete control of your system anytime, anywhere, arm or disarm, unlock for a guest, access your cameras, or adjust the settings. So don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system that we recommend. Get 50% off any new SimpliSafe system at simplisafe.com/locked-on-NHL. This is their biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. That's simplisafe.com/locked-on-NHL. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. And folks, we did get to hear from Rod Brind'Amour after that game against LA, and this is what Rod had to say after the game.
3-0 on the road now as the success continues. What made this win tonight possible?
Well, I thought we had a good effort again, from 20 guys, and then I thought we made some special plays tonight, which we hadn't really seen much of, off the rush. We scored a couple pretty goals, but all coming from good plays on our end, like good D-zone coverage, which that leads to your rush chances, and we were able to convert tonight. So that was probably what stands out.
Fyodor Kochetkov continues to step up in different situations. What have you seen from him?
Well, he's just steady. Whenever we seem to have that, little breakdown, and that's what goaltending is about, right? You make that save, it kind of takes the stress off the group, and he came up with a couple nice ones tonight, obviously, especially when they had their push in the third, where you had that 3-goal lead. It's, penalties kind of got us, and we're kind of back on our heels. He was solid.
Running on the Kings have kind of shuffled their deck a little bit lately, especially on defense. So sometimes makes the pre-scout a little bit tough. But what did you see there? What did you try to emphasize, and what do you think came through tonight?
Listen, we know how they're going to come out and play. We had a pretty good idea of what we needed to do to try to create offense, and I thought the 2 periods we did a really good job of it. And then, like I said, third period we sat back a little and got in a little bit of penalty trouble, and they definitely had a good push there, but. No, it's a solid team. They're really quick and they get on you, so we were ready for it.
I understand you guys worked out on the beach this morning. Any thought into doing something a little unconventional on the road trip?
When you come out here, it's you don't have a morning skate availability at the rink, and so that just the way things worked out. We thought make the best of what we can, and you got obviously beautiful weather down here, and so you do things like a little differently, but at the end of the day, we got 2 points. That's what we came here for.
Playing off of that, you can just tell this team's having a blast. You could see it at that beach workout this morning. They really enjoy each other. From a coaching perspective, what have you seen in terms of team chemistry?
It's coming together. I mean, you listen, that kind of stuff's fun, and but you come together on the ice. Shared mutual hardship. Like when we're going through it out there battling, that's how you come together as a group. So. And I think that's what we've done for the most part all year here. So it's you got to continue to build on that, because that's the secret to success. And obviously sharpen up in other areas, but coming together as a group is really important.
I talked to you earlier. You mentioned Brett selling out, being more willing to maybe embrace the defensive side of the game than he's been going for the past few years in San Jose. We broke up that breakaway by Moore. How important was that play? Is that the kind of thing you're seeing more from him this year?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, more positionally, really, but that was just desperation. And, he's got that long reach, and he was able to, make the play on that. Didn't on the last one, so it comes and goes on that area. But like I said, his willingness to try to do it the way we want to do it is what makes him a great pro.
Thanks, Rod.
All right, thanks, Roddy. Thanks, everyone.
So, of course, getting to hear from Brind'Amour is always great, after these games. And, one thing, like I mentioned earlier, there in the third where the Kings had a bit of a push, when the Hurricanes got into some penalty trouble, I think that, the Hurricanes penalty kill is definitely still going to need to work at improving. Again, you got in some trouble, and, you can't stop them all. I think we were definitely spoiled last year with how good the penalty kill was, but I definitely still want to see some improvement from the Hurricanes penalty kill. Their special teams as a whole have improved as of late, but definitely still want to see some improvement there. But again, always a great thing to hear from Rod. But looking at the Hurricane schedule coming up is it's very spaced out. We're kind of used to games every other day for the Hurricanes this season so far. Now they're having a big break. They played Saturday. They don't play again until tomorrow down in Anaheim, and then after that, they don't play again until Friday, Saturday. Y They don't play again until Saturday. They play Tuesday and Saturday this week. Um, they did not practice yesterday, and, they're practicing at Honda Center down in Anaheim, later on this morning, at noon Pacific. So it's still gonna be a little bit before, they take ice to practice. But, I do want to look at their schedule for this week and just how this could help or hurt them. And we will do that right after this quick break, folks. Now, folks, the Hurricanes are playing on tomorrow against Anaheim. So if you're wanting to place a bet on that game or Saturday's game against the New York Islanders, betonline.net is the place to do it. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all of your sports betting info and stats and news and analysis. So get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball to soccer and esports. BetOnline has it all. Again, whether it's the Hurricanes, whether it's the Panthers, whether it's the Hornets, whether it's wrestling, whether it's MMA, whatever, BetOnline has you covered. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. They're the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. So head over to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now, folks, it's looking at the Hurricane schedule this week. Again, they play tomorrow in Anaheim, and then on Saturday, they play against the New York Islanders. So 2 games this week. I think that, you look at someone like Teuvo Teravainen, I think it's really good because, he's getting eased in. It's not, getting thrown in a back-to-back on the first game of a back-to-back, him coming off of his injury. I think it's really good for him, and I think it's, you know, on one hand, I think it's good for the Hurricanes. They're able to breathe. They're able to, they were able to have a day off and, relax, decompress. And yesterday, enjoy, obviously, I'm sure travel, but, not the stress of game and, all the practice and all that stuff. They could just travel, do what they want to do pretty much. And so, there's that aspect of it. They can decompress some. And I think that's obviously good for their mental health, especially, with, coming off of that losing streak, being in their own heads on things. Now, yeah, and then it also gives them, again, they didn't practice yesterday, but, let's just say, post Anaheim, they got, you know, some days in between there. And yeah, there's going to be travel, but it's a little bit more time to work on your power play and your penalty kill. A bit more time to practice on these things that are giving you issues. And I think that is something that can really work in the Hurricanes' favor. Again, power play, special teams, and getting Freddie Anderson back out on the ice some, whenever they get back from the West Coast. Uh, Again, that's all speculation on whether or not he will. He has been skating, so he was before they left. But getting some of these guys some rest, I think is going to be big. But one thing that I look at that could potentially hurt them is, all right, they got some momentum going. Let's not have these too big of a gap, to where the momentum halts altogether. And oh, you haven't played in 5 days. You're kind of out of the groove that you were in, and that's one thing that does worry me a little bit. A bit more this season than seasons past because of these glaring issues that we've had so early on this year, and I think that, the Hurricanes, they got things going right now, which I think is good. Obviously, I think it's good. You think it's good. Everyone thinks it's good that they got things going right now. But I hope it can be sustained through lengthy breaks, not game this day, practice this day, another game. Not that kind of schedule. That's spaced out. I want to be able to see them hold this momentum through big gaps. I think that's going to be really, really important. And then, one thing, I, look at, I don't think it'll be a big issue at all, considering the gap is going from West Coast to East Coast. That's always, can be a bit tricky, with the jet lag and, all that. But again, they do have a significant break there, again, playing on Tuesday, not playing again until Saturday. So, I do think that is something that won't be a massive factor in that game. It'd be one thing if they play on Tuesday in Anaheim and then they're playing again on Thursday. That may be a bit different. But, they got some break in between that Anaheim and New York game. I think it'll be interesting to see how the Hurricanes handle that. But again, I don't think it'll be a big issue. So I really hope that they're able to hold their momentum, through these big gaps. I don't think, coming out of LA, going in Anaheim, I don't think that'll be a big issue. They've had like a day off, then practice, then game. They've had that before. I'm not worried about that. But it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this. And then, getting back after that, they play on Saturday, and then it's the same thing, how they played this past Saturday. They don't play again until following Tuesday. It's the same thing. They play Saturday against New York, then don't play again until Tuesday the 13th in Detroit. This road trip continues. It's a long road trip, but it's very spaced out. And so far, that has worked to the Hurricanes' advantage. They were able to get, the win in Pittsburgh, the win in St. Louis, the win in LA, and hopefully a win in Anaheim tomorrow. But ultimately, this is all speculation stuff. The Hurricanes, they got momentum on their side. Let's hope they can make it 5 straight wins. But we'll talk more about that tomorrow ahead of that Anaheim game. We'll hear what Rod Brind'Amour had to say post-practice today. And depending on when his media availability is, we'll hear from him tomorrow. But that's all for tomorrow. Let's enjoy today, folks. Enjoy your day at work. Enjoy your day off, whatever it may be. And continue to enjoy that dominant win over the LA Kings. So in the meantime, make sure you are following Locked On Hurricanes on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Hurricanes, and myself on Twitter at JaredEllis_96. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow when we preview the game against the Anaheim Ducks.